Greetings, everybody. Yes, I know, I've been absent for a while. I haven't had too many people chase me down on it, but Webmaster Hugh asked me the other day, he says, where you been? I haven't seen any videos. and I guess Hugh's house is in danger in California, too, because of all this rain. Yeah, he lives near Alameda Creek, and the bank is subsiding underneath this place. Hopefully it'll be fine. Yeah, so the question has come up, where have you been? It's been several weeks. It was the holiday season, so I was occupied with making Christmas foods, and of course there's the whole Christmas present thing, and you got some company, and then of course Ellen's birthday is directly afterwards, the 2nd of January. Bang, so there's a birthday thing here, so a lot of obligations, but the real bottom line is I wrecked my back. While building the shed here for Ellen, the new she shed. It was those sheets of T111 3/4-inch plywood. They were wet from the dipping in boron, and maybe from rain too. I don't know. Anyway, they were wet. And carrying them up the hill, I wrecked my back worse than I have ever messed it up. It's still not right, but I'm back to where I could speak with a smile on my face, because for 2 weeks, if I wasn't just on my back moaning and just feeling terrible, or otherwise taking painkillers, so I was incoherent, it's about the only way the pain had stopped. So I decided to stay away from the camera. I didn't want to record all that. So what's new here? Lava's back. Kilauea started up again. Yeah, it's a little bit different there. We had 2 at the same time, and then 2 both stopped at the same time. And then just a few nights back, there was an earthquake that I meant to look it up. I haven't looked up to see what the magnitude of that one was. It was a little odd, because I was actually it was about maybe 1:30 in the morning or something, and I was sitting up on the edge of the bed. I was awake. I guess I had planned to go to the bathroom or something. I don't know, but I was sitting there when all of a sudden I heard this vibration in the roof metal that to me almost sounded like I had rats running across the roof or something strange like this. And then all of a sudden the vibration stopped and it went boom, and the whole house jumped once. Well, wow. Brain said 4.5 maybe. Might even been closer to 5. I don't know. It was a pretty darn good jolt. And then it stopped, and everything got peaceful again. And we all went back to sleep. Even the cat bounced up. But and I figured at the time, this probably means something is changing. That's usually whenever we have a change in the island, it seems like it's almost always preceded by fairly good earthquakes. If the lava's going to start, we get an earthquake. If the lava's going to stop, we get an earthquake. When Mauna Loa got started over there, I felt the 4.5 was at Bahala, knocked the lights down in the post office and closed the school and stuff over there. Didn't knock any lights down here, but that was the trigger. The 6.9, that was the big one. That was when Pu'u'o stopped. It had been running since the 1980s. And all of a sudden, one day, there was a big old earthquake. She stopped, and then it started up in Leilani, a couple of blocks from my buddy Jimmy's house. Yeah. So I figured there's something probably coming. Turns out, it's a good viewing thing, I guess. There was pretty good fountains that were coming up out, and saw photographs in the news from standing behind the hotel in the park that had good visibility right there. Maybe time for me to go on up and engage breakfast brunch on the volcano rim again with the neighbors. That's always fun. Although you go up for dinner, it's showier. Yeah, it glows, But it's back. So if anybody came here and they were hoping they were going to get to see the lava from Mauna Loa and you missed out, guess what? You get a chance for more. So that's happening. Well, looking at real estate, not that I'm a realtor, but I like to watch this stuff in the news, and I do happen to have one of the viewers who's been over here for a while, who's been doing some shopping for his brother-in-law and wife, and so I've got my nose stuck into a couple of these pieces because he'll ask me about them, and they may finally have found one. Finally. Puna is at the top of the list right now in Hawaii when it comes to real estate sales. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling over here. It's declining in Maui and Oahu, mostly because of the extreme cost and the fact that the interest rates are really going up quick. Well, Puna has the lowest median cost. I think $385,000 for single-family home was what they showed in the news this morning, which really puts it on the bottom end of Hawaii. You can't find anything anywhere else for that price here. Yeah, so it's Puna is rocking. We are number one, leading the market over here as far as this is the fastest growing part of the state. I can see by the amount of lumber trucks going by, and the amount of caterpillars and earth-moving equipment and trucks full of cinders and rock. It's busy. I'm not hearing hammers and saws as much as I did back, 2007, but I'm seeing the evidence flowing by here. Yeah, so this guy and his family, they keep hoping, I guess, for a deal, which it really doesn't happen much here. There is no such thing as a deal right now. You get a better price on a place here in Puna. Does that make it a deal? Well, I don't know. Depends. It's not Maui, You pay for Maui. Puna's Puna. You pay for Puna. It is what it is. It depends on whether you like it or whether you put up with it or not. Puna has few services. It's pretty wild over here yet, so I refer to it as the Wild West. Most of the properties these folks were looking at were in the lower echelon, beneath the mid line of property here, which is, in Puna, boy, I tell you, that ain't a good place to start. I always recommend people start at the mid price point and work their way upward or slightly downward, but don't start at the bottom and work up. You'll be working at it for a long time, and they were, because he looked at place after place after place after place, and it was all undesirable property that, as I would put it, has issues that are not fixable. That's pretty much what you get when you buy cheap land in Puna. You get issues that you cannot fix. So you're just going to end up having to either live with them or whatever. When you start getting to the midpoint and up, then you get into places, where whatever issues might be there, you can probably do something about them, or maybe it's just wonderful, you never know. But you get down below the midline and, oh boy. Yeah, it's just, as an example, as the realtors say, is location, 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 right? And so you can't fix location. That is not fixable. You buy location, and so if you buy in cheap because of the price, but you end up in a highly undesirable location, with meth labs next to you or who knows, 15 miles back on a crummy road into the woods or something like this. These are not things you can fix. You can't fix the neighborhood. You can't fix the fact if the property is air locked so that you can't get any wind in there from the ocean, so it's full of bugs and mold. There's not a lot you can do to fix that. It's the lay of the land that kind of creates that problem. So, well, they finally found a place here. It was 3 acres. It's up near Glenwood. It's not my favorite area because it's kind of wet. And for me, a little cold. I'm sitting on the edge of what I consider to be tolerable here between warm tropical shores in Hawaii and cold, snowy upper mountains. Here at 1,600 feet, we're cool, not really cold. Don't need an air conditioner. Don't really need a wood stove. Sometimes we need a sweatshirt and a blanket in the wintertime, and I have my days where I strip down to just a pair of shorts in the summer occasionally. Not often. You get a little further up the mountain here, though, and it rains a lot. The rain increases from about 150 to about 200 inches a year as you go up here. You're definitely in a cloud forest as you enter that area. A lot of clouds and precipitation and stuff like this. I know the gentleman involved here is one who keeps complaining that the temperature here seems too hot for him. So this may be perfect. It's sometimes what's good for one is not good for another, and so on. This property, when I looked at it, I said, well, as I saw it, as long as you're willing to put a wood stove in the house, because it's over 2,500 feet up. You'll need one in the wintertime. As long as you're willing to put up with small things like that, if you don't mind it being kind of rainy a lot. The place only had one aspect that I saw as unfixable. Only one. And that was very much opinion-based for me, because as being a guy who's over 70 years of age, I like easy access. Man, you never know when you're going to have to drag me out of here, because I got a blood clot or I need 6 stitches or whatever, And so access in and out, the ability to get to the grocery store, to get to the clinic, things like that, to get to a dentist appointment, the barber. These are all really important to me. So this place had at least 5 minutes on gravel. The rest of it was on good asphalt. It was the 5 minutes on the gravel that you'd have to move pretty slow. It was good gravel road, but still, you weren't getting out of there fast. You got at least 5 minutes on gravel, 2 more minutes on asphalt, and then finally you hit the main road, and you'd be probably right around the 20-mile marker, I believe, from Hilo. So it's a pretty good distance from town, but boy, I tell you, I've seen some roads around here that go out back that you would never, ever, ever want to live on these things, This one, well, the area up there kind of mixed. On the way in, on the asphalt, I saw a few decent places. Yeah, they look pretty nice. But then again, as we turned in on the gravel and on the road into this property, there were a couple places made me shudder. Yeah. Although they weren't next door, but there were a couple places back there that, oh boy, not good. Although we met the neighbor, and boy, you could do worse. The neighbor recognized me immediately because of my voice. He says, I'd recognize that voice anywhere. I said, oh, you watch the channel? Yeah, he comes out petting his kitten and, won't cut down the ohia trees on the property because he likes them and so on. So, I could have a worse guy for a neighbor that listens to the Green Garden guy, won't cut down his ohia trees and walks around petting kittens. Yeah, it could be way worse. So that was good. That was good, actually. Yeah, the place has the potential to bring air in. Yeah, it'd take a little bit of tree cutting, but you can get the trade wind to come in there. I believe with the same process, it probably has a view of the mountains, too. So it's in an area where the land is dropping off rapidly below it to the north and the east. It's a good thing. Yeah, so that was new, was happening. Otherwise, it's cloud watching. Anybody engage in cloud watching? I do. My stepfather, he was a meteorologist for United Airlines for many years. And you couldn't ask Ed a question about, well, Ed, what do you think the weather's going to be like this afternoon? Oh, boy, measure the average wind speed and the direction and take a look at the layering of the clouds, identify the types of cloud structures that were up there, and blah, 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 blah. Then, well, maybe about 3 o'clock, I get a feeling it's going to rain, he'd say, But it'd take 4 minutes of working his way up there through science. So I kind of grew up that way, too. And, when I was a young man, I knew the names of most of our common clouds. Yeah, identify them and so on. So, well, it's been over 2 weeks here in Mountain View with almost no rain. There was 100th fell one evening. I had 700ths fall one evening. In the last 2 weeks, but otherwise for the last 15 days, for all practical purposes, you could say it has stopped raining here. It always gets me a little shaky when that happens because, this is the climate belt that the Sahara Desert is on, okay? This latitude line tends to be a dry latitude, and Hawaii is just an exception that we get rain on this side. Boy, when it starts to dry out like this, I remember that we're in league with the Sahara Desert over here, too. I get a little bit worried. So I've been watching clouds. Yeah, I'm sitting out there on the lanai in the afternoon and checking out to see what's layering, Is it a cumulocirrus, or altocirrus? What do we got here? Well, you know how it is if you sit around watching clouds long enough, you start seeing things, some pareidolia that really isn't there, Clouds take on shapes. Well, I've noticed something about the local clouds here in Hawaii. And that's really special, because where I lived in Wisconsin, we referred to that property as Weatherline Farm. We were on a major zone of tension between climatic air masses there, and we would see some very unusual cloud formations and things. I used to watch tornadoes either get started or wind down, either way, on the area. But I've never been anywhere where the pareidolia, the shapes of the clouds, shapes of animals in the clouds, shapes of faces in the clouds, Now, maybe it's because they smoke too much cannabis or something over here. I don't know. The clouds all take shapes of heads, but it changes from day to day. One day I go out and look and nope, won't be anything in the clouds to read at all, like tea leaves in a teacup, right? Next day you go out and, oh man, like yesterday, Marge Simpson went drifting by, beehive and all, right? And I'd say that's just me because I'm nuts, except when this happens, I'll guess over Ellen's hair and I go, oh, look at that one, there's a penguin. They go, oh, wow, you're right, it is a penguin. It's shared experience. We're seeing these things in clouds. Anyway, sometimes I wonder if you could read the clouds like you read tea leaves too, reading the palmistry, what's your fortune? Could be. But I've never been anywhere where the clouds would so commonly take on shapes that, you'd see things in the clouds, yet the next day, nothing. Yeah, it changes from day to day. And there'll be whole 24-hour periods where they're in the single pig, penguin, or Donald Trump in the sky, Anyway, so watching clouds. The thing about watching clouds is that, well, of course, if you're a meteorologist, you're trying to predict weather. Okay, this is a practical application. But otherwise, just watching clouds and going, oh, that one looks like a pig. There's no purpose or point in it whatsoever. Yeah, it's an absolutely socially useless activity. Yeah, most of the things we're engaged in are, we have some purpose, some reason why we do this. If you're going to watch clouds, you really can't be distracted into anything else whatsoever, and there's no logical reason why you would sit there and try to decide whether the clouds look like whales, giraffes, or the back end of a mule. Who knows? But it's sort of like random acts of kindness and senseless beauty, that deadhead thing. It's a little bit that way, because when you're watching clouds and you're seeing Cinderella dancing across the cloud tops or something, it's there's no reason for it. Yeah, there's nothing. It's one of the few things that we'll ever do in life, which I guess maybe not everybody does this, right? Yeah, I happen to know cloud watchers, but yeah, not everybody does this. But if you do it, you have to let go of everything. Yeah, it's a great meditation. Yeah, it's a great meditation. It brings you right here now. Probably nowhere else when you're watching clouds. Well, there you go. I'm back. I'm alive. Aloha, folks. Y'all hang loose, okay? Man, if you get on down here quick, you're going to see more lava.